Tuned into the greatest.
So when that bag come, I won't fumble. I'm just stacking on the low, but hey, I'm tired of being humble. Let me get to it. That motivation music. Get control of your life, don't let nobody else do it. Cause so when I gon' have Meta S550s cruising. Feel like you winning on the ground.
Yes, sir. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson. All the way from Detroit to Chicago to your speakers and headphones. I appreciate you tuning in to the first interactive sports podcast, community that makes sure your voice is heard. So if you hear something you agree with, you disagree with, you like, you dislike, or you just want to hit us up on the voicemail line, hit us up and we'll play your take back on our next episode. And speaking of episodes, shout out to SeatGeek for sponsoring this episode. Get $20 off of your next ticket purchase, off your first ticket purchase, when you use the promo code The Run Podcast. Now, this code can only be applied for first-time users on the mobile app or a website. So I don't know about you, but basketball season is rolling strong. Definitely go to one of these games. You can go to concerts, anything you would like that requires a ticket purchase, and use that promo code The Run Podcast. Only for first-time purchases. Only. Anyway, speaking of voicemails, though, we do have some voicemails in here that we're just going to jump straight into. Want to hear back from y'all. Some takes. I haven't really got a chance to listen to them, but hoping it makes sense. It seems like they all are up to par and, making some decent sense. So we're going to play these back. We're going to respond to it and then continue on with the NFL and some more things that's happening. But for the first one, looks like the Cleveland Cavaliers from the transcript that I see. So this is what we'll do. We'll start off with the Cleveland Cavaliers, and it's a voicemail regarding them. Maybe I can help give some context of what they're talking about. So let's just do it. Let's kick it off with the Cavs and see what they're saying.
Hey, so I have a take on the Cleveland Cavs. So is it better to trade everyone away and rebuild knowing that they have been plummeting in this past year? Or do you think that they still have a chance to develop the team that they have?
Okay. All right. Now, this is a good question. I'm excited about this question here. And I think about it, kind of just soaking in the question for a second to harp on it. With the Cavs, I do not think they should trade anybody in terms of blowing things up. No, absolutely not. The Cavs should not blow this up at all. The Cavs are close. All they need to do is just continue to stay healthy. But this is a team that has a lot of bench support as well. Outside of Donovan Mitchell and Darius Garland, Evan Mobley has been a monster, and he's elevated his game since he's been there. So if I'm the Cavs, the last thing I want to do is just completely blow this team up. At this point of time with the Cavs, yeah, everything might not be going in the direction that they're hoping for, but what I would look for with them is to continue to stay with the same core, stay with the same group that you have, and continue to build these pieces around. When you bring in Hunter and Jared Allen, like that, the supporting cast for the Cavs is really, really good. And the last thing I think they should do is start trading people to maybe just blow up everything that they have going on. I know they didn't succeed in terms of getting to the conference finals and the NBA finals and all of that, but ultimately getting rid of guys and trading them for whatever is not going to help anything in terms of what you have right now being better in the future. Like, I just don't think they should do that. And then currently too, I need to look at their standings to see exactly where they are. Because right now I don't think their season is like in shambles. Obviously it's still very early on, but 13-10 for them. So obviously, not giving exactly what they wanted. They lost a couple of games. They were on a 3-game win streak against some decent teams. And it's been up and down. That's what it seems like right now, up and down ride for the Cleveland Cavaliers. And the best advice I could give for any Cavs fans is it's still really early. It's still really early. Right now, they're looking like a play-in team. They would be in the play-in games right now. But again, it's super early. And the talent can continue to evolve, and the game plan is going to shift and change as well as you bring in different guys and guys get healthier and unhealthy. That's just something that happens with it. But above all, right now with the Cavs, do not change a single thing. I think the best part they could do is just figure out a new improved game plan to make sure everybody is getting utilized the best way when they are on the floor. Also, the rotations has to be very consistent. You got to figure some things out with the rotations as well to make sure you're getting the maximum use out of everyone. And this is the time to make those errors for guys who are getting minutes and maybe shouldn't get as many minutes, or vice versa. This is the time you want to adjust those lineups and play around with who plays well with who on the court right now, because with the Cavs, you have the personnel to make something happen in the postseason, but the last thing you want to do is just blow it up and get rid of guys when you are a couple games away from going to a conference finals. Like, nah, it's too much talent on this Cavs team, too much bench support to just get rid of everybody. So that's my stance on the Cleveland Cavaliers in terms of maybe blowing things up and changing some things around. So, nah, I'm on that side. Cavs definitely shouldn't do that. However, we got some more things too. Another voicemail. This one, I believe, is about the Atlanta Falcons, but appreciate you for calling. They didn't drop a name, so, hey, I appreciate it anyway. That was definitely a good question, considering the Cavs aren't exactly where they hope to be. Coming into the season, people predicted the Cavs to be number 1 seed and, definitely a top 3 team in the Eastern Conference, along with maybe Knicks, Pistons, and Cavs. So it's interesting that now they aren't really in that conversation and struggling early on, but I think they'll continue to evolve. Anyway, let's move on to the next voicemail here, and let's go ahead and see what they are talking about. Here it is.
Hey, how's it going, man? Christian from Florida.
What's good?
I was a fan for a long time. Dude, the biggest frustrating thing is not necessarily that it's coaching. We all know it's coaching. Everyone knows that it's a coaching issue that's going on in Atlanta. The frustrating thing is that Blank is taking so long to fire him. Like, if he's already lost the locker room, if the culture doesn't look set in the foundation, just wash the hands and be ready. I think that Arthur just wants to do it clean or do it in a certain way, but it's hurting us longer as a franchise in the long run than anything else. Because of the people that we're going to have here for a long time know that there's a coaching change coming. If your franchise players know that a coaching change is coming, it kind of allows them to operate differently, to go about it a different way. But if they kind of know that and they have to continue to go through a full season with the same regime that they know isn't going to be there next year, you're not allowing them any room to grow. It's stunting the growth. And when it always comes down to ownership, when you have a gap of not winning for 5 years, you can say coaching. When you have almost a decade-long run without going to the playoffs, that's ownership. It's 100% ownership. We made the wrong hire. We are not being quick enough to change that.
Whew, my guy, you cooked. Oh my gosh, you cooked. You are preaching. Dog, I kind of want to play the whole thing back just because, you were preaching. You were preaching. I love everything you said. I couldn't agree more with everything you said on there. There's a couple points I'm definitely going to have to play back just for my own mental to keep track of everything that I want to splurge on. But literally the first thing I want to harp on that you said was we're literally just hurting the guys who are coming back next year, knowing that, okay, Raheem is probably not going to be here next year. So why am I motivated to continue to go out on the field and give my best effort the rest of this season if this guy isn't even going to be here next year? That is a very valid point to me, and I couldn't agree more on that part. And yes, the blame goes on Arthur Blank, just because this is the owner who is. I mean, it's been so long. Raheem should have been fired maybe 7 weeks ago at this point. We've given him time to show what he can do, and he's done nothing with his opportunities as the Atlanta Falcons head coach. So at this point, there's nothing else to see. Why are we still debating? Why are we still picking and choosing of what's exactly happening right now? And one of the things too, I think about this often. So hear me out. Arthur Blank, owner of the Atlanta Falcons, gets a lot of blame for being a bad owner, and he's not giving this opportunity. He's just not making moves fast enough, as you mentioned. And I agree with that. Arthur Blank is not making moves fast enough. But one of the things I thought about, and that kind of crosses my mind every so often, is Rich McKay. I think that's the I need to double check his position, but I personally feel like Rich McKay is the one running the show because Terry Fontenot, yes, he's the GM, but he isn't the one that brought in Raheem. He isn't the one that brought in Arthur Smith. He isn't the one that brought in multiple coaches while he's been in the front office. It's been Rich McKay. It's been his decision for multiple times. So to me, it's like I truly feel like a lot of times Arthur Blank is like, hey, I am the owner, whatever. I show up to the games. I'm going to be on the sidelines. But above all, he's not going to be the one that's truly making these decisions. I truthfully feel like it's Rich McKay in terms of who's making these decisions for the Atlanta Falcons personnel and the front office and all these other things that's going on. Because he's the one that's CEO of the Atlanta Falcons. So, yes, it's Arthur Blank, the owner. And I think Rich McKay could be the true problem for the Atlanta Falcons. So whatever it is, I'm still on board with you, and I still 1,000% agree with you that it's taken way too long for the Falcons to make a move on Raheem Morris. And you said something in the beginning of the voicemail that I want to backtrack one more time. So I am going to play it just to hear it one more time.
Question from Florida. I've been saying for a long time. Dude, the biggest frustrating thing is not necessarily that it's coaching. We all know it's coaching. Everyone knows that it's a coaching issue that's going on in Atlanta. The frustrating thing is that Blank is taking so long to fire him. Like, if he's already lost the locker room, if the culture doesn't look set in the foundation, just wash the hands and be ready. I think that Arthur just wants to do it clean or do it in a certain way, but it's hurting us longer as a franchise in the long run than anything else. Because of, the people that we're going to have here for a long time know that there's a coaching change coming. If your franchise players know that a coaching change is coming, it kind of allows them to operate differently, to go about it a different way. But if they kind of know that and they have to continue to go through a full season with the same regime that they know isn't going to be there next year, you're not allowing them any room to grow. It's stunting the growth. And when it always comes down to ownership, when you have a gap of not winning for 5 years, you can say coaching. When you have almost a decade-long run without going to the playoffs, that's ownership. It's 100% ownership. We made the wrong hire. We are not being quick enough to change that.
Man, okay, that's what it was. It was the part on Arthur Blank dragging it out. This is just I couldn't agree more. I couldn't agree. It's the part on Arthur Blank dragging it out, man. He's done this with previous head coaches in the past where it's not really a mid-season fire. He's waiting until the season is completed, and then it's still speculation on if we're going to actually fire this guy. So I can definitely see him dragging out Raheem Morris being fired, or if it's not his fault, maybe it is Rich McKay's fault where we're just dragging out Raheem Morris being fired. At this point, there's clearly nothing that's going to save his job. To me, personally, I don't see anything that's saving his job. And then the part that I love that you mentioned here, you said being bad for 5 years or 3 years is, don't quote me, but you said being bad for multiple years is one thing, but being bad for almost a decade is insane. That's an issue. That is something where we need to either clear house, or we need to figure out what exactly is the problem in this front office and why we cannot find the right head coach in the front office. And again, in the past, it's been Rich McKay's hires of Arthur Smith and all these other guys that we brought in, Dan Quinn. These were all Rich McKay's hires. Terry Fontenot has still not been able to hire one head coach that he thinks is the best fit. This all has been on Rich McKay in terms of hiring Raheem Morris, Dan Quinn, Arthur Smith. This is all on Rich McKay for that part. So to me, I look at it like clearly this is one source in the front office that's been getting it wrong time after time after time after time. For the whole decade, we've been bad. So now it's time to just delegate that power to someone else. And I know some people feel the ways about Terry Fontenot. I know some people hate Terry Fontenot, but I personally, I'm on the side of Terry got his Bijan, he got his Drake London, he got his Michael Penix, he got his James Pierce Jr., Xavier Watt. He's put together a solid team. The only thing that's missing from Terry Fontenot is him being able to pick the head coach. But if he's picked the correct players, why haven't we given him the ability to choose the correct head coach? Why are we still giving it to Rich McKay? Why is he still the one that's selecting head coach year after year when he's gotten it wrong time after time? It makes no sense. So I couldn't agree with you more, man. I love it. Shout out to you for that voicemail. Of course, man. I hope you hear it. I hope you listen to it. I know you said you've been listening for a long time, but man, I hope today you got this one, and I'm gonna try and clip it up and all of that to make sure I get it up on the socials and everything. But man, yeah, you hit it right on the nail with that part with Arthur Blank and just dragging out the whole Raheem Morris fire, man. It's ridiculous. It's ridiculous. Anyway, look, we got some news for the run coming up, so don't go anywhere. Hang tight on the lives, and we got some news coming up for week 14? Yeah, week 14 in the NFL. Man, this is crazy. NFL is flying by at this point. We're already in playoff situations for a lot of teams. Falcons probably won't get in the playoffs. I think next game we lose, we will be out of the playoffs officially if we play the Seattle Seahawks this week in week 14. So this will be a game deciding factor, but we'll touch on all of that stuff in the news in just a sec. They're not the only team fighting for survival, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back to give some more information on week 14 in the NFL, and it is halftime. All right, what's up, everybody? Welcome back to The Run with me, Manny Wilson. Hit us up on a voicemail line, 219-413-9405. If you want to go ahead and leave a quick take on the show or just be involved at all. So let's start off with the recap it's not really recap because it's only been one game, but week 14 in the NFL. Let's just go ahead and hit it home. The first game so far was the Dallas Cowboys versus the Detroit Lions. This was a very high-scoring game, and it was actually a pretty good game. Cowboys cut it close at one point where they were only down by 7 points, but then the Lions continued to pull away, and they ended up winning this ball game 44-30. One of the interesting things about this Lions game here is that Jahmyr Gibbs, he officially tied the Hall of Famer Barry Sanders for the most touchdowns before age 24, which is at 47. So he's probably gonna break that record, which is insane. So shout out to Jahmyr Gibbs, man. Definitely a top running back in this league, if not the best. I'm on the side of Bijan. Some people might say Jonathan Taylor. Some people say Gibbs, but it's without a single question that he is a top running back in the NFL right now. So happy for the Detroit Lions, and they keep their playoffs hopes alive. So we'll see what goes on from there. Hopefully another team that can keep their playoff hopes alive. The Atlanta Falcons will take on the Seattle Seahawks. This game is going to be played at Mercedes-Benz Stadium, and truth be told, man, I have the Seattle Seahawks winning this game. I would love for the Falcons to win as many games as possible, but at this point, the season is over. They would have to win out, and other teams would have to lose in some very crucial situations and some crucial games for the Falcons to even think about getting in the playoffs. But ultimately, aside from just hoping the Falcons lose or thinking the Seahawks will end up winning, the main reason I say the Seahawks is probably going to end up winning this game is because the offense is just a little bit better, and I think ultimately it's going to come down to being able to coach. The Seahawks will end up out-coaching the Atlanta Falcons because both of these teams are kind of struggling running the football right now. Both get a good amount of pressure on other teams' quarterbacks. Both have a solid pass defense as well. So ultimately, these things that I'm looking up statistically, I don't see a huge advantage for any other team. However, the thing that I've noticed is the Seahawks have a tendency to pull out some close games. They have a tendency to finish games, unlike the Atlanta Falcons, where they somehow just fold like a tissue paper, fold like a plastic chair, and they give away the game. So I got the Seahawks winning this ball game here. I think it will be a pretty entertaining game, but ultimately, this is all Seahawks. Other than that, we got the Cincinnati Bengals playing the Buffalo Bills. Now, the Buffalo Bills are 8-4. And most likely, they're still kind of fighting for a playoff spot, but they most likely will get in the playoffs. Just depends on how often they win and some other division opponents right now. So we'll see what happens with them. The game is going to be in Buffalo, so beneficial to the Bills here. I got the Buffalo Bills winning this over the Bengals, even though the Bengals are fighting for survival right now. However, Titans playing the Cleveland Browns in Cleveland. Shedeur Sanders versus the number one pick. And this is going to be interesting here because the Titans have been struggling. Cam Ward, number 1 pick, he's been playing pretty decent, but it's hard for anyone to really see that because the Titans are struggling to win ball games, no matter what. He's made some good throws that I've noticed, but ultimately, I probably won't be tuning into this game. I'll check up on it, keep score, but Shedeur Sanders versus Cam Ward, quarterback duel, it'll be interesting. This may be a game that will really excite people in the future. Granted, both of these guys stay on these teams of the Browns and the Titans, so we'll see. But I got the Cleveland Browns winning that just because that defense is lethal, so they're probably going to give Cam Ward some tough times in this matchup here. Other than that, you got the Commanders versus the Minnesota Vikings. I'm not too worried about this game here, but I think the Vikings will end up winning. They are in Minnesota, and the Vikings got a good defense, so we'll see what the Commanders can do against this Vikings defense. You got the Miami Dolphins versus the New York Jets as well. This will be a good game, but I got the Dolphins actually winning this game, even though it's on the road and even though it is cold weather. We all know by now the Dolphins don't play good in cold weather, but I mean, at this point, sometimes the Dolphins, they look good, sometimes they look bad. You just never really know what Dolphins team you're going to get. You never know what Tua Tagovailoa you're going to get at quarterback. Like, he struggles, but we'll see what the New York Jets do as well. But I got the Dolphins winning that ball game. New Orleans Saints versus Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Easily, Tampa Bay Buccaneers is going to win this game. Saints have been tragic all season, or should I say the Aints have been tragic all season. Then you got the Indianapolis Colts versus the Jacksonville Jaguars. This here should be a great matchup between these two teams. Both 8-4, both top in the NFC right now, or I'm sorry, the AFC right now, and they're ultimately playing for some playoff spots because it'll be interesting to see what these guys can do. Jaguars, they have not disappointed. The Colts have not disappointed, but they've kind of been on a downward slump on these past few weeks at the back end of the season. So it'll be interesting to see what they can do. But the Jacksonville offense has been rolling as well. And I think if I had to choose, the game is in Florida. Jacksonville is 4-2 at home, but I'm going with Jacksonville Jaguars. I don't care. I'm going with the Jaguars. I was trying to throw y'all off, but the Colts, man, you can't sleep on them because they're a good team, but we'll see what happens. Daniel Jones also has not been playing as good as everybody, including myself, is hyped up early on in the season. I believe you have to fact check me on this because it may be different now, but Daniel Jones has one of the lowest QBRs in the NFL right now. So interesting, but again, fact checked it because it may be different from the last time I looked at it, which was a couple of days ago. So we'll see. Other than that, you got the Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Baltimore Ravens, a division game here. And this game is really, really going to matter because the playoff standings and the playoff picture is going to be determined who gets this AFC North seed. Right now, it's the Baltimore Ravens, but if the Steelers beat the Ravens, then they can possibly get priority. I have to look and see if they match up once again before the season ends, but ultimately, you want to get those division games because that's what's ultimately going to lead you into getting in the playoffs is if you win your division and if you take control of your division. Other than that, the Denver Broncos. Oh, wait, I didn't choose a winner for that one. Going Ravens. Going Ravens. The game is in Baltimore. They've been shaky, but I'm going Ravens. I think they can pull it off, man. And they're in Baltimore. So we'll see what really happens with that game. It'll be an interesting one to keep your eye out on. Other than that, Denver Broncos versus the Las Vegas Raiders. Broncos is winning this ball game. No chance the Raiders win. The Chicago Bears versus the Green Bay Packers is going to be an interesting game, rivalry game for the Packers and the Bears. And we got some interesting things to break down for this one because, I mean, the way I look at this matchup between the Packers and the Bears, I initially look at all the things the Bears are doing well. Let's see what the Bears are doing well. Bears, they cause a lot of turnovers. They're first in forced turnovers on defense right now. And they've been playing really good. They're good at adjusting. That defense is nice. And Ben Johnson has that offense rolling. They're really finding ways to beat teams however they have to, whether it's running the ball, whether it's passing the ball. They're doing a pretty decent job at that. There is some doubt about Caleb Williams and what he can do against this Packers defense, considering Caleb Williams has only thrown over 60% a couple times this season. However, Caleb Williams is doing fairly well at not turning the ball over. So this is an element that is going to play a big factor in what the Bears can do against the Packers. Now, flipping it over to the Packers, the thing and the reason I'm going to choose the Green Bay Packers to win this ball game against the Bears. I'm sorry, Bears fans. I got the Green Bay Packers winning this ball game against the Chicago Bears, mainly because the Packers do not turn the ball over. And I know the Chicago Bears are first in forced turnovers, so they may make that happen. However, Jordan Love, he's one of the least sacked quarterbacks in the NFL. Packers, they fumbled the least out of everyone in the NFL. They only fumbled twice in 13 weeks of football. And these type of things are why they've been winning these close games and why they've been winning ball games. So I'm intrigued by the Packers. I've talked a lot about them not really showing up on offense and not really wowing anybody on offense, but maybe this is another week where they can do that, much like they did against the Lions in week 13, much like they did against the Cowboys early on in the season, and much like they did against the Lions in week 1. So right now I'm on record saying the Packers have only wowed me offensively 3 times, but it's possible that even if they don't wow me against the Bears, as long as they continue to protect the ball like they do, as long as they continue to protect Jordan Love like they do, and don't fumble or throw interceptions and take sacks, this team will be all right because they have a great defense that can put pressure on the Chicago Bears offense. So it'll be an interesting game. We'll talk about this again in a couple weeks, but ultimately, I got the Green Bay Packers winning this ball game, man. It'll be an interesting matchup between these two, but Packers will take this first one, and oh man, it'll be a fun game. It'll be a fun game. That's all I can say. The game is also in Green Bay as well, so it'll be a fun game to watch. This is one I'll definitely be tuned into. The next game we have here is the Los Angeles Rams and the Arizona Cardinals. Going with the Rams, without a single doubt. No question about it. Then after that, we have the Houston Texans and the Kansas City Chiefs. I think this is also going to be a great matchup because, yes, the Chiefs, they are in survival mode. The Chiefs have to win out. Meanwhile, this is not an easy game against the Houston Texans. It is in Kansas City, so everyone has a right to believe the refs are going to do whatever they can to help the Chiefs win. However, the Texans' defense is lethal. That defensive line gets to quarterbacks. It puts pressure on quarterbacks. They have a great run defense. They have a good pass defense. So just because of that element right there, it's going to be very hard for the Chiefs to score the ball and move the ball, whereas also the Texans don't have a bad offense as well. Sometimes CJ Stroud struggles and he's not really finding his targets and getting the ball out in a timely manner. However, the Texans, they are nothing to be played with. So in this game against the Chiefs and the Texans, I got the Houston Texans winning this ball game, even though it's a must win for the Kansas City Chiefs. Texans for the win here. And then for the Monday night game, we have the Philadelphia Eagles versus the Los Angeles Chargers. This game is played in California. And I think the Chargers win, man. They're 5-2 at home right now. Eagles haven't been bad on the road, but the Eagles have been just climbing their ways out of games they weren't supposed to win, and they really haven't been convincing on the offensive end. And I think it could turn into a shootout because the Chargers defense is not the best in the NFL, but they're not awful either. Let me clarify that. However, that offense can put up some points, and I know they got injuries and all, but I got faith in the Chargers to beat the Eagles in this game, especially since the Chargers are at home, and I haven't seen anything that's very convincing from the Eagles. So we'll see what happens, but Week 14 in the NFL, definitely super excited about that. And, I can't wait to take a look at some of these games, some good college football games coming on as well, but I'm not going to talk too much about that. Roll Tide is all I'm going to say. And other than that, man, look, that's all I got. So I appreciate you guys for tuning in, for hanging with me. Hit us up on the voicemail line, 219-413-9405. Is that even the right number? Did I just say the right number? Or you got to go back and look? Yeah, 9405. Yeah, I said it. 219-413-9405. Hit us up on the voicemail line, and we'll play your take back on the next episode. Other than that, man, I'm going to leave you guys on a positive note. The positive note here is just going to be believe in yourself. Genuinely believe in yourself. That's it. I'm going to leave it at that. Other than that, have a great weekend, man. We will be back later on next week, and so on and so on and so on.